Welcome back, crew. Today we're diving into our June game of the month, Lancer. So throughout this month, we're going to be taking a deep dive into all of the Lancer goodness, going over how our first impressions, which we're hooking up today, going into how to build a PC, some of the mechanics of the system, and then eventually how to build a monster that your crew can go up against. Or I should say, a big mech that your crew can go up against using Lancer RPG rules. So, with this system, before we dive into it, for those who aren't familiar with Lancer, it's a new RPG, or newish. But the cool thing with this is it's all about how to bring mech combat to the table. So if you grew up with Gundam Wing or Mech Warrior, or for some of our FromSoft fans, Armored Core, and you want to say, I want to bring this to the table, Lancer is the system to do so. So this is going to be me and my crew's first time. All of us are first times playing the system as kind of the norm as we did with Coyote and Crow, the Power Rangers RPG. But we're going to be taking a look just in and throughout this system, going over the nooks and crannies, how everything ticks, to hopefully get some more people inspired to pick it up, but also just to give you our thoughts and kind of explore the wider world of TTRPGs. Because as I've said before, and probably too many times, like I feel like a lot of us 5e is one of the best systems out there. It's get so many people into the game. It's opened up the tent so much, but I feel like sometimes a lot of people just stay in that tent, and myself included before this. So I wanted to really start exploring new RPGs, kind of along my lines of interest. And so far, we went by childhood with Power Rangers, explored a really cool new diverse TTRPG with Coyote and Crow, but today we're gonna get back into a little bit of my childhood. I'm a sci-fi guy, and I love mechs. I was a huge Mech Warrior game fan. Got into Armored Core before I even knew about FromSoft. And this is gonna be kind of the way to get in there. And like a lot of my friends, or the people that are gonna be playing in our game this time, are Gundam fans, anime fans. I love those big mech battles. So I'm excited for it. My table's excited for it. I'm looking forward to see what this system can do. But today, we're just going to be kind of going over our first impressions. So, this is just me kind of thumbing through the book, taking a look at the different pieces of it, a little bit of the mechanics side of it too. But we're not going too heavy in the mechanics, at least today. Next video is gonna be how to build a PC, but the video after that's gonna be our mechanic deep dive, just going over how to run the system and things to keep an eye out for. But overall, just my first impressions of it. I got the book. The book is magnificent. My favorite piece with this book, especially this is something that's come with this year since I've been playing a lot of new RPGs. I was like Got and Grow, Power Rangers, Karen, a couple others this that we just didn't film as well. But this book is probably laid out the best. Before that, I would have gave the honor to Paizo's Pathfinder, but this one is just it's laid out so well. There's so many quick reference sheets, both the PDF and the hardcover, that just make it easy to find what you're looking for. Because a lot of times with the TTRPGs, like I feel like you can everything's scattered so like D&D 5e, like it's scattered throughout the book so hard it can be it's hard to find what you're looking for. With this one, they've got like quick reference sheets, the PDF even like, it has everything bookmarked that you're going to look for usually, so you can just kind of go down that bookmark list and find out what you're needing, or at least get a general idea of the RPG. So shout outs to them, whoever organized it. A1 job, like help others in the community, because that was one of my first things I noticed with it. Is just I like that, and I like at and I like and kind of speaking on the book aesthetics too, or the PDF too as well. I like a lot of the art too. So I'm probably an anime novice. Anime is a little hit or miss for me, I'll say. But it has a little bit more of an animish tint for some of it. But it also has some really cool looking mechs if you flip through the books as well. And they did a really good job with it. And art's one of my favorite reasons for buying RPG books. Like I've got to build a bookshelf now. My wife's getting annoyed because I've got them all over the basement. So one day, maybe check my Twitter. There'll be a picture of my little RPG bookshelf with all the new ones and some of my old ones from different systems too. So stay tuned for that. But this one, definitely worth it for the art. Definitely worth it for this layout as well. Everything's just it's so easy to pick up, and especially if you're at the table and looking up a rule or a status condition. There's so many quick reference tables to make things easier that they clearly made this with players in mind and with kind of making ease of use of the table in mind, which is always A1 in my book. So, outside of that, that was just kind of one of the first pieces there. One of the other things I want to mention, just as first impressions, these are our deep dives, but I did take a look at the system a little bit. As I mentioned earlier, it's a D20 system. I know that's not everybody's favorite, but I got into the game through D&D with 3.5 and then Pathfinder. D20s have been how I've played the game, and there's just nothing like rolling them for me. So I was glad this one had it, but I was also glad too that it wasn't like a 5e clone going through it. Like they've got some cool mechanics in there, which we're going to go into a little bit more in depth, like with the accuracy and difficult system, where you can kind of give different modifiers. Are kind of similar to like, or in theory similar to advantage and disadvantage for 5e, but rather than giving like a extra roll, they're d6s, and you could have multiple stacks of advantage and disadvantage, and they cancel out with each other. If you have one advantage, one disadvantage, they cancel. But the cool thing with them too is if you've got like 3 stacks of advantage, you roll and you roll d6s either way, so plus or minus for advantage or difficult, or not advantage, accuracy or difficult. But if you've got like 3 stacks of accuracy and you roll those 3d6s, you don't add all of them to your d20 roll, you just add the highest. So it's kind of a cool way to give you some extra oomph without getting bloat for the dice rolls, or just kind of giving you auto wins and you've stacked everything up on your side, which I really liked. So that was a cool feature there. So that they've got those. They've also got some cool things too. So this one, your modifiers are really small for this. A lot of times you're just usually adding your grit score, which isn't like a very high modifier. So it's a D20, but there's still a lot of wobbly room in there with evasions, which are kind of like your AC, usually aren't that high. And then for skill checks, if it's just a regular skill check, they've got modifiers, which we'll go into later on them. If it's just a standard skill check, 10 will beat it. So 10 plus, you beat it. So that's one of the things with the system too, is that it's usually like if you're a 5e guy like myself and used to playing that, you're used to setting your DCs as a DM. With this, that base level DC is always going to be 10, but there's different things that like risky, which like if what they're doing is risky, that will add I think a +1. Oh, so difficult, they'll add a +1 for it. Risky, that changes different from a DC 10 to a DC 20, and there's just other different. Oh, sorry, heroic changes it from DC 10 to DC 20. Risky makes it so that even if they do succeed, there's a good chance that things may not go their way. So like if they snuck into the enemy facility and they beat that DC 10 with a risky roll, there may still be a ticking clock, or there may be something still going on that may make it dangerous for them to keep those stakes high. So I thought that was cool. I think I like how it's gonna be weird not setting the DCs. I'm just so used to doing that, but it'll be nice to kind of see how that plays out. And especially one of the nice things I like it with it too, because sometimes with DCs and 5e, if you're a player, it can just be so up in the air. You're not sure exactly what it's going for. With this, since you know the structure, if you're before you roll, your DM's going to tell you if this is a heroic roll, if this is risky, if it is difficult. So you'll know what's going on there. So you'll have that kind of that agency to kind of make that decision and to kind of decide if you want to go through with your action. So I think that's cool. I thought that was a pretty cool way to do it too. So those are a couple of the big things just on the mechanic side and the layout side. The other 2 pieces I wanted to hit with this one is I love the way that they've kind of set up how you can build your mechs. It's super customizable because they've got like roles, like different roles that you can be a part of. Like you can be a striker, a controller. There's 2 other ones too, but I'm blanking on them. But the nice thing is, even though while those certain frames and how you build your mech is you use certain like a frame made by one of the manufacturers, and you can go through and add in customizations, different items, and things like that to truly make it your own, which has been a big plus for me lately. Mutants and Masterminds kicked off my love for classless, customizable systems. And while this one still has a little bit, there's certain things that are kind of not restricted, but kind of you're built better towards as a frame that's from one of those classes like Striker or Controller. You're still able to go through and add in the weapons you want, add in like features you want. It's still pretty open-ended, which is cool for me. I'm looking forward to our video next week where we're going to get to go in and actually build a PC on Roll20. I don't know what I'm going to build yet, but like I'm just looking through it. There's a lot of cool options on there, and I'm looking forward to diving into it. So that's one of my big pieces there. I liked how they laid that out. I like how they have how to build your character in one section, but then all of like the customization and options and kind of step by step all there in a whole different section. As I said, this book is laid out super well because you could read like that 15, 20 pages, I'm not sure how much it is, on how to build your pilot and build your mech super easily, and then you can kind of go through and thumb through and figure out which abilities, which things, which weapons, which everything you want to take without really like clogging up pages or kind of just making everything like a Where's Waldo of where this feature is. So that was cool for me. But those are just my first impressions. I'm excited for this one. This is probably one of the ones I've been most excited to dive into. I love mech combat. I love sci-fi, and I love kind of like with this one we're going for kind of like a little actiony movie, heroic camp type tone. So my players are stoked for it. I got a good group of players for this one as well. So I'm really looking forward to it. But a couple pieces before we kind of wrap this one up. As I said, just another reminder, check us out each weekend. We're dropping a video for the Lancer system. Next week is the how to build a mech using the Roll20 system. Week after that, we're diving into mechanics. And then probably during the week right before we have our actual play game on the 29th, I'll drop how to build some enemy NPCs on there for it as well. But also, speaking of that, too, I don't think we've touched on that. So, if you're new to this channel, each month when we do our game of the month, we also do a giveaway associated with it. So, we do a live play game, which our live play this time is going to be Wednesday, the 29th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on my channel, my Twitch channel, T&J Gaming, which will be a link in the description. Check it out. We've got games every Tuesday. It's Star Wars Tuesdays now. But we also have games throughout the month, too. And let me show you our schedule for the month of June. So outside, we got Star Wars Tuesdays with my Invasion campaign, and one of my longtime players is starting their Stranded campaign next week, or this Tuesday upcoming. But outside of that, we play a lot of Mutants and Masterminds, at least one Mutants and Masterminds game each month. This month, we're also doing Starfinder on the 24th, which I think is a Thursday at 7 p.m. And then, of course, Game of the Month, Lancer, where you can join us on the 29th, get your chance to win a copy of the Lancer PDF system. We'll be buying a new one there and giving it to one of our lucky viewers who shows up there. But yeah, so check us out. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. We every month we pick a new game and try to learn a little bit about it. This really one of my big pieces is I've played a lot of 5e, but I wanted to really expand my horizons on that side. So that's why I started doing this, and I'm like, hey, might as well film it too. So join us, like, subscribe, follow us on Twitch. Got great table, all my games. We've got a varied crew, though there's definitely some usuals there, but they all make it fun and keep it interesting. So join us, check us out, like, subscribe, follow us on Twitch. I'm getting close to 100 on Twitch, so any support there you could throw me would be truly appreciated. But outside of this, I'm excited for June. I'm excited for the Lancer system. I love D20 systems. I love mechs. And I'm hoping that we have some crazy mech combat in there too. So join us, and hopefully we'll have a blast. But thank you all for joining us, and hope to see you all soon.